What's up guys, welcome to ABAUTO. Now, as a long-time C43 owner, I had the opportunity to test drive the gorgeous CLA45s. So in this video, I'm going to take you through 10 differences I noticed straight away. First up is the gearbox. Now the C43's 9-tronic is no slouch with fast shifts and a great response time. But I must say the CLA45S's 8-speed dual clutch setup felt really good. The gear changes were noticeably quicker and the response when under load was incredibly snappy. Never did I suffer from any lag or jerkiness. Using manual mode was a blast too. The gears changed unbelievably quick when pressing the paddles. It honestly felt like an Xbox controller trigger when shooting a gun on Call of Duty. It was that quick. So even though the 9-tronic in the C43 is a great gearbox, the CLA45S's 8-speed was noticeably quicker. But both gearboxes are still great in my eyes. Now the next one may not be the most interesting, but it's one of the first things I thought when I drove the CLA45S, so I really wanted to include it on this list. The pedals feel different in the CLA. The C43 has an organ style pedal, which means it's fixed to the ground, while the CLA has a suspended accelerator pedal. Honestly, I don't know which I prefer, but it was a noticeable difference coming from the C43. It also felt like the brake pedal was much closer to the accelerator. Now let's talk about handling. This is where the CLA45S really shines. The car is just so agile and feels so nimble. The steering is incredibly direct and I found it to be much more engaging than my C43. Not to say the C43 is not a great handling car, because I love the feel of the C43, but honestly guys, the CLA45S is in another league. Its party trick is the rear diff, which sends as much power as it needs to any of the wheels independently using the 4MATIC Plus system. This means the car can distribute power to enhance the steering, and I must say it's glorious. It's a bit strange at first, but once you get used to it, you are laughing. If you're taking a tight corner, the normal reaction is usually to reduce your speed to get the control back. But with the CLA45S, the more you accelerate, the better control you have. Feeling a bit of understeer? Don't slow down, push down on the accelerator and the car will pump power around the axle to exactly where it's needed. This will eliminate any understeer and zoom you out of the corner. It's so satisfying and addictive once you get the hang of it. Okay, let's talk sound, quite frankly the biggest elephant in the room. Now the C43 is one of the best sounding V6s on the market when paired with the optional AMG performance exhaust. So one of the first differences I noticed was the sound of the CLA45S's engine and exhaust note. So what's it like jumping into a 4-cylinder EU regulated CLA45S? Here's my honest opinion. AMG have done what they can, but unfortunately with EU regs and the way the world is going, we're going to have to suffer from muted exhaust notes. And it's such a shame because the exhaust is the one thing that keeps this car from being perfect. The C43 sounds better than the CLA45S in every way. However, the CLA45S is not as bad as you might think. AMG's solution to the EU regs is something they call AMG Real Sound, and it's exactly what it sounds. Rather than fake engine noises being played through the car's internal speakers, AMG Real Sound pumps in real sounds from the car's engine and exhaust using microphones. I think it's really important if you're going to have sound pumped in, it's the real engine sound, because you want to hear what's going on. You want to hear that unpredictable, you get different reactions and different noises from what you do. Something that you can't quite capture with a fake pre-recorded track. For me, AMG Real Sound added tons of drama into the cabin, and it was really satisfying hearing such a clear and loud engine note. So guys, what I'm trying to say really is it's not as bad in person as you might think. It's not a V6 or a V8, and the EU regs have really hurt the sound, but it's still tons of fun. So the C43 wins hands down when it comes to exhaust sounds, but the CLA45S sounds are still tons of fun and engaging while driving. One of the most exciting features in the CLA45s is MBUX, Mercedes' completely new innovative infotainment system. As soon as I started using MBUX, the command system in my C43 felt dated. Now, command is great in the C43 and it pretty much fulfills all my needs, but as a tech guy I was really excited to play around with MBUX. Everything is much clearer and much snappier to the touch. Speaking of touch, it's now also a touchscreen. Mercedes finally support touchscreen controls. Now, I'd heard the CLA45s was quick, but I never expected it to feel that much quicker than my C43, because really it pulls similar horsepower figures. But boy was I wrong, the CLA45s felt absolutely rapid. Now don't get me wrong, the C43 is a rapid car too, but the CLA45s felt so much quicker. Perhaps it's just a lovely rev range on the new hand-built AMG engine and how it keeps on giving, but I could really feel the difference while driving the CLA45s. Despite the giant turbochargers, I honestly experienced no turbo lag at all with the CLA45s. It felt like a naturally aspirated engine with crazy pulling power. What AMG have done with this new engine is remarkable, and it honestly is hard to truly appreciate until you drive one and experience it yourself. The C43 engine feels much more well-rounded with Comfort Mode and Sport Plus, while the CLA45s engine is just pure bonkers. It's one of those cars that feels like it just wants to be in the sportiest setting all the time. I can't really imagine myself using Comfort Mode much in this car. Now of course this can be both a good thing and a bad thing. The C43's engine is much more laid back in Comfort Mode. It cruises along and then you press Sport Plus and it becomes an animal. The CLA45s feels like it wants to be an animal all the time. Even in Comfort Mode it feels like the engine just can't wait to let loose. To me this makes these two cars very different in some respect. Either way, if you're driving a C43 or a CLA45s, you're going to have a big smile on your face. Passengers in your C43 will have a blast, while I recommend bringing a spare pair of underwear for the ones in the CLA45s. The next thing I noticed was that Mercedes have added tons of new features to the digital dash. At first glance, it may seem like the same digital dash as the facelift C43, but when you look closer you'll see Mercedes have added many new screens and settings, especially on the AMG side of things. Another impressive upgrade here is that you can now make the sat-nav full screen, much like the original Audi Virtual Cockpit from 2016. I must say I really enjoyed playing around with these screens and features, especially all the new AMG screens and meters. Take a look at the CLA45s key. It's this lovely combination of gloss black and matte black, and it has the AMG badge at the bottom. This key clearly belongs to a special car. Now take a look at the C43 key. In contrast, it feels a bit bland for an AMG, don't you think? I must say the CLA45s key is much cooler and more special. Here they are side by side. Next up is the indicators. I didn't realise how much I enjoyed the subtle, quiet indicators on the C-Class until I drove the CLA45s. The CLA indicators feel so much louder than the C43s. This may sound like a bizarre complaint, but once you get used to the lovely C-Class indicators, the CLAs feel so obtrusive and tacky sounding. First world problems, I know, but just listen to this. Lastly is the exterior looks. Take a look at the CLA45s. It's one of the most flamboyant AMGs you'll see. It's designed to say, look at me, with its bold and highly styled trim. Personally, I love it and I think it looks amazing, but it may be a bit too much for some. The C43 is much more of a sleeper. It has the aggressive AMG styling, but it's much more subtle and sophisticated. Now, I absolutely love both, but I will say the CLA45s is definitely more of a head turner. The C43 is the more mature and sophisticated car. With all this in mind though, I absolutely love the styling on both and they both look incredible. So in closing guys, that's the first 10 differences I noticed coming from the C43 to a CLA45s. The more I drove the CLA45s, the more I started to realise that these are both very different cars. The C43 is probably the better all-round daily and cruiser, while the CLA45 is a pure adrenaline junkie. The CLA45s feels much more like a pure crazy AMG. while the C43 remains a great hybrid of Mercedes comfort and AMG performance. As a Mercedes AMG fan, I think both cars are amazing, and honestly, if you're deciding between the two, you can't go wrong. So there we have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, please hit that thumbs up because it always helps the channel out. And make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out my full detailed comparison between the C43 and the CLA45s. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.